Hi everyone, welcome to the latest edition of Pro Wrestling Defined. I'm Jonathan O'Dwyer, and joining me on the show tonight to discuss right off the heels of Wrestlemania, an absolutely awesome show. We're here to discuss Wrestlemania and some of our favourite Wrestlemania moments through the years. He's the host of the Dynamo's Dozen podcast on the Dynamo Podcast Network, former pro wrestler himself. Ian Kelly, how are you doing today, man?
How are you doing, my friend? Thanks for having me on. Take two, my brother.
We
have one. You have a nice one in the vault for someday when this here show shoots to the stratosphere. We got some good stuff to look back on, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And there's plenty for people to chew on that one.
Yeah.
But, so we'll just start off with just tell people a bit about your podcast, the Dynamo Podcast Network.
Yeah, so the Dynamo Podcast Network was kind of just an idea that stemmed from Dynamo's Dozen, because like a lot of people, and probably a lot of your listeners know of Dynamo's Dozen as well, blah blah blah. We kind of, you've been on my show as well, so we here in Ireland, I suppose we're lucky in a sense that even though we all do kind of similar shows and we have similar content, you know, it's not really the same because we always come from we all have different personalities. You know what I mean? So your hosting skills will be different to say Morris or me or Noel or whoever else, and you've got a different personality and a different way of asking questions to some of these people and some of the, you know, the great guests that we've all had on, including yourself. So I think it's really cool. We do have like a nice little tight-knit community that we're getting here in the podcast world, especially in the wrestling podcast world, and I like that, and I think we need to keep that, you know. And anyone that doesn't want to be a part of that, that's absolutely fine. But I think everyone should really be realistically trying to help each other out, because you never know. On the way up, you got to remember the people on the way up. Isn't that the old adage? Be nice to the people on the way up. You never know when you meet them on the way down.
Exactly.
But Dynamo's Dozen, as you know, it's been going for years. And it was mainly just an audio podcast. So it's only recently. We're kind of virgin compared to, say, yourself and Morris, even in the sense of getting into the video aspect of it. So that's been a new adventure, which is really cool. But yeah, so off the back of Dynamo's Dozen, we obviously had the 4 Pod Men, which a lot of people are aware of as well. That's kind of where myself and 3 other brethrens, we've had Carl King Wowan in the past, Niall Hogan, obviously the upper tier hosts, DJ Road Dogg, Jason Kennedy, Joe Doyden, and of course Dino. We've a nice little group where we just basically shoot the shit on, you know, say a pay-per-view in the past, or like just looking at a deep dive into someone's career. Not too dissimilar to something like of Conrad Thompson's work, which has been on Dynamo's Dozen, by the way. So I actually learned a lot from him back in the day.
Wow.
So he's a really cool guy, and I really did learn a lot from him, you know, to think outside the box with podcasting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the 4 Podmen idea came from, because it was like, right, you've got like 4 different personalities. You've got one who's a wrestling shop owner. You've got one who's a former pro wrestler. You've got one who is a major pro wrestling fan and has like an insatiable knowledge of a business that he was never even involved in. And then we have, of course, have Joe now, who's recently joined the team, who's also a former pro wrestler too. So, and everybody, that's the great thing about personalities, Jonathan, and you probably noticed it yourself. Like, no one is really going to have the exact same opinions. Like, we can have the exact same favorite wrestler, but we'll always differ on certain aspects of that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, like, yeah.
Oh, well, I prefer him when he wore blue tights. Well, I prefer him when he wore pink. You know what I mean? It's like, it's that's the great thing about pro wrestling and the great thing about doing these shows. So just to kind of give you the short answer so we don't bore the hell out of your guests, the Dynamo Podcast Network stemmed from these podcasts. Like, so many guys were on board, you know, in terms of they wanted to come on the shows and they had ideas and stuff like that. So it was in my head that, like, why not just, I've always had this kind of thing, like if I'm doing something, I'm always trying to think what's the next thing. Do you know what I mean? How can we do something different and make it bigger? And not even from a monetization standpoint, just in terms of the idea was I had lots of people that I knew had skills and potential of doing their own shows, and I thought, if I have my own network, you're kind of giving people a chance to, you know, put their own show on this channel, and that maybe probably wouldn't have done it, you know, if it wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? Or that's how we think. So it's kind of cool like that, and it's really great to see somebody that had like a little bit of an idea on a show and watch it blossom. So it's kind of cool for me to sit back in the background and go, that's awesome. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's the long and short of it. And you've obviously been a part of the Dynamo Podcast Network now as well. You've been on a couple of shows, and so it's really cool. And it's cool having the support from the likes of yourself and Morris from Cheap Heat and so many other great guests. So.
Yeah, everyone, check it out, Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube, and you're on Apple and Spotify and all that.
All the usual, anywhere you listen to your podcast, as they say.
Yeah, that just flies out of my head.
I used to be the same as you, dude. I'd be like, so we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, and you're like, now you listen to all the old veterans, you're like, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so we'll get into WrestleMania.
And congrats on your show, by the way, too, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, so
really enjoying it.
So good. Anyway,
really enjoying it.
Cheers,
really
man.
Proud of you, dude. You're doing awesome.
Thanks, man. It means a lot. And I've been loving it so far. It's taken a while to kind of get comfortable, with the whole thing, because it's still pretty new. I mean, this is my 14th episode now, I've gotten a bit more consistent now with the last couple of weeks, so I've just been enjoying it more, cheers for that, man. But
love it,
so we'll get into WrestleMania. Over the 2 nights, I thought it was absolutely immense. I don't think there was really a weak link. Even like the kind of sleeper matches that people didn't really care about, I thought were even good, like the women's tag match I thought was very good, and like people were sleeping on Riddle and Sheamus, and that turned out to be absolutely amazing. But give me your kind of overall thoughts on it.
Well, you want to kind of start with the night one, I suppose, will we? We'll
start with night one.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was kind of crazy, wasn't it? Because I got a text in our podcast group. Oh shit! It looks like Mania might not go ahead, and I was kind of sitting there going, "Hey, come on, dude, don't mess with me like that," And at first I was kind of laughing, going, "If this happened, this would be just 2021 in a nutshell, wouldn't it?" People
100%.
Finally get their asses to. So I was kind of like, and I've been a part of those Florida kind of storms. I was there in good Lord, where was I? I was in the Disney Hollywood Studios Park during one of those, right outside the Aerosmith roller coaster ride. And we were about 5 feet away from shelter. I couldn't go any further. And we're just standing there. Oh, shit. But then, 10 minutes later, the sun comes out and you're dry. Do you know, it's such a weird... So I was kind of going, okay, I've been a part of this, so I understand it's probably just one of those flash storms, fingers crossed. So obviously when the show was delayed by 40 minutes, you could see the frustration in Drew even, and I got to actually say, you could see the emotion in him too, you know what I mean? You could see the tears. But I got to say, I really, hats off to all them boys and girls in the back, because they had to do impromptu promos just to kind of keep the show rolling. But I suppose, without going in a rundown of what happened, I think it was great to see the opening, see the fans, see the arena that they put together, and then see Vince obviously with everybody out, and Vince doing WrestleMania, trying to conjure up the old WrestleMania 3 intro, and it was it was pretty exciting. But night one, I thought when the action started, I mean, come on, what an opening match, right?
Unbelievable.
What a way to open the show, man. I mean, I thought, it was a match I was looking forward to anyway. I thought it was a great choice to open the show with that, especially on top of a lot of fans. It could have went wrong. You notice yourself from being in crowds or being at arenas. When there's a delay, even if it's through no fault of anyone's own, people can become very restless and frustrated and you know what I mean? So I thought having that as an opening match was just a sure way just for all woes in the world to pass and allow people to kind of just enjoy the spectacle again up close,
Definitely. I think I was kind of torn on that one, because I wanted Lashley to get to that level with so long, and I was so happy. We talked about it on Dynamo's Dozen, and I was so happy for him to finally get the title, and I didn't want it to be just a transitional run,
Sure.
But when it came to the actual night itself, like, I just thought Drew was just on a whole nother level completely. Like, even as good as he's always been, and especially this year, he's been amazing. But like, I suppose some of it was him battling, that frustration on the night of the delay, everything. It all kind of played into his favor. But I just thought his whole presence, like that intensity, just reached its zenith altogether. Like, and it was kind of the first time in years, probably since like Cena, or maybe even going back further, that like I felt like I was watching an icon, like somebody of it, like a Hogan or an Austin or a Warrior, somebody like that, like somebody, he really had that presence for me, like, and just even his actual performance in the match itself, I just thought he was just on a completely different level, completely. So I kind of would have liked to have seen him get crowned on the night, but at the same time, I think, like you were saying, like Lashley kind of needed that moment, and I think like it's really great for him going forward. He's been built strong as champion, and McIntyre will probably benefit from the chase, kind of Bret Hart-esque from '92 SummerSlam, like that type of deal. I think going forward, it'll probably benefit him more in the long run. But that was my favorite match over the two nights, even McIntyre and Lashley. I thought it was every match I enjoyed. Cesaro and Rollins was amazing. The cage match was surprisingly brilliant, and Riddle and Sheamus was brilliant. But McIntyre and Lashley was the show stealer for me. Which was your favorite match of the night, or over the weekend?
Mine was the main event, obviously the ladies' match. I think I know everyone was kind of banging on about this Bad Bunny guy and stuff, and it was kind of like, it's funny because I had some kind of debates with some friends that aren't necessarily big wrestling fans, but they were kind of going, that Bad Bunny guy is better than half the wrestlers on the roster, and I was like, I actually kind of, I suppose it brings us back to a point that you made on my show about one Miz.
Yes.
From the trained eye to the untrained eye, I can see why people are looking at this guy flying around like a, headless chicken and just doing every move that he obviously learned over the course of maybe a month's training. And by the way, this is no disrespect to Bad Bunny. I've no time for any of that nonsense of bringing in celebs and letting them in the ring. I'm just against it. I always have been. I'm a traditionalist. People can call me an old fart if they want. That's okay. I understand that the business evolves. I'm not here to argue that. It's just my opinion, and I stick to it. You know what I mean? I respected Pat McAfee getting in there because I think he actually learned how to work, as in learned how to work.
Yeah.
So people want to see a real celeb wrestling, I think go back and watch Pat McAfee's work in NXT, because he was actually working as well as kind of doing the moves and whatnot. But anyway, hats off to Big Bunny or Bad Bunny, whatever he calls himself. I thought it looked ridiculous, The Miz and Morrison getting beaten up by this skinny little guy wearing like the world's worst midget security suit. It was like a guy who was kind of it was like a fan got to join your Seth Rollins behind you there, join the old group, wasn't it? But no, look, Bad Bunny, he done his bit. I suppose he entertained a lot of people, and he could do some stuff. But I think the real heroes of that match, in particular, was The Miz, because there was even situations where you could see The Miz throwing himself into a hold, and Bad Bunny was didn't even know he had the hold on, because The Miz had positioned his body that way. So, look, Bad Bunny done great, but trust me, people, Miz and Morrison done even better. So just wanted to clear that up, and I'm sure you're in agreement with me, Jonathan. Do you want to add to that?
Just a small bit. I 110% agree with that. Like Miz, I mean, I went on for about half an hour about him on.
And I'm with you. I'm with you. And that proved it to me even more, actually. Yeah.
I mean, the thing I will say for Bad Bunny, I was very impressed with him, but more so from the effort. Because I mean, from the point you're making, that I'm completely in agreement with. I mean, Miz and Morrison carried him and made him look as good as he looked. I mean, they were the ones making him, and even by the reactions, Miz is just so good at being Miz.
He's amazing.
He's freaking fantastic. He just knows his role and does it to perfection. But they made him. But the thing I respect about Bad Bunny,
maximum effort though. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. It was the effort. Like, he really put in the time. Really, like, because he took a fair few bumps.
He did, man. And he done some nice little things in that. I was kind of going, you little son of a bitch, I want to hate you here.
Yeah.
But, you've got my respect. And definitely, I want to say that so that people don't think I'm just being the angry old fucking guy. You shouldn't let those guys into a ring. No, that's not the case. I'm only saying that I'm just trying to help people understand that isn't it amazing what pro wrestlers actually do to help make guys like that can, elevate them to a level. But the guy didn't choke though, so he didn't.
Yeah, 100%. But as well, it was very. And I think it's the same whenever they do these celebrity ones, like they did with Lawrence Taylor years ago and everything. Like one thing you notice with Bad Bunny,
he was better than Lawrence Taylor. We'll give him that.
Probably. But like the little things about the intricacies of like the mechanics of wrestling were of how difficult they are were really shown a light on in that. Like even when he's taking the ropes, like the guys make it effortless looking, but like when you see him do it, then you see how awkward and how difficult that is to do smoothly. That's
a great point that you make there, Jonathan. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was actually explaining to my partner. She was watching some of the girls run the ropes, and obviously some of the girls are trying to run in as hard as they can, but they're smaller. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So they don't have that much weight behind them, so they don't get that kind of spring that like someone, say, 3 or 4 feet taller and maybe 20, 40, 50 pounds heavier than them would. But there's actually a thing to that, and there's an art to that, and you go to any wrestling school, they'll tell you running the ropes is not as easy as it seems.
I do.
Because one of the biggest fears that people have, there's 2 things that when people go to a wrestling school that they have a fear of, is one, when you see 9 out of 10 people, when you see them take their first bump, they'll end up on their kind of tailbone, because they kind of they pull out at the last second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, they always get it, but it's the first thing. And I remember Balor telling me that. He goes, this is the first thing that people get wrong when they take their first bump. And another one, now there's many little things like that, but one of them is the ropes, because when you're running the ropes and you see how far it is down, to the outside, like, they're kind of going, oh shit, what if I fall through them? So they'll kind of, like, they'll run full body, and then they go, and that's what you could see Bad Bunny doing that. Whereas when you see like Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 11, the best rope running I've ever seen in my entire life against Diesel. Remember the speed? Yeah. Like when you see that kind of rope running, it's like boom. And look, that comes with experience. But I thought that was a great point that you brought up there about about running the ropes. It's a nice little spot on your part. I like that.
Yeah, because I love those little intricacies, like, because wrestling is just like mechanically it's just so abnormal, Of course, and it takes so much skill, and it's so taken for granted. Like it's actually, it's crazy. So yeah, that was one thing I picked up on. Yeah, but like A for effort on that, and like hats off.
A plus.
Definitely, and hats off to Miz and Morrison. Got it.
You asked me, for me the match of the night was the main event. The 2 girls, man, couldn't have been a prouder human being watching those 2 girls get it. First black females to headline a WrestleMania as well. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like second ever, female, all women's main event.
Yep.
That shouldn't matter anymore. But, the fact that it was 2 black women, Black History Month and all that thing, and it wasn't just because they were black, it was actually because the 2 of them. And I mean, dude, I got a little bit of a gut moment as well when I saw Belair, like, kind of tearing up. But I have to say, how professional is Sasha? Because you could see Sasha was holding it back as well.
Yeah.
Did you notice that moment when Sasha, like, come on. She was like, it was like she was saying to her pal, come on, girl, we're going to fucking tear this house down. Like, and good Lord, did they tear that house down. Oh, my God. Brilliant match. Absolutely beautiful match. Everything made sense in it to me. Sasha's heel work in it, good Lord. It was off the charts. I mean, she says that Eddie Guerrero is her hero. Eddie Guerrero would have been proud of that match with
Definitely.
her. Her work with the hair. Oh my.
Yes.
Like holding it for 10 seconds, holding it for the 5-second count, and then boom into the hold. I was like, everything just made sense to me. I thought it was. And that, did you see that? See her stomach after that shot? Whoa!
Oh, ugly.
So I watched that match back a second time. I was like, was there a leg slap or something there? Because that sounded, didn't it sound kind of like that? Too good to be true almost.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Bob.
Oh no, that was legit.
Yeah. Oh, hats off to Sasha for taking one for the team on that. Like, God, that was.
But I'm glad it went the way it needed to go as well. As big a Sasha fan I am, I think it's Belair needs to be given the ball to run it, because I think Sasha is probably the hottest wrestler, female wrestler, without a shadow of a doubt. I think she's the hottest. I know Rhea Ripley and all, which we'll get onto, is on a bit of a hot streak, but I think Sasha is the legit, like, kind of. I think until Becky comes back, that'll be interesting now. I would like to see that. I would like to see the two of them get into a program now, because we've seen them in a program at a lower level. I'd love to see it at the level that we're at now. I'd watch that one with Beta Bret, and I don't think they need to be in the title picture. I think Belair needed that, just like Lashley needed that. Booking on both title matches in this, I think we're spot on.
Definitely, complete agreement on that. And yeah, that match was absolutely badass. Like they earned that main event spot, and they just delivered spot on. Like, you know, what a way to cap off night one. So night two, what are kind of the overall thoughts and your favorite match of night two?
Yeah, like night two was good. For some reason, I was looking forward to night two more, but I mean, I don't know whether that was just a case because traditionally, you know, Mania's on night two, like on the Sunday or whatever. The opening was kind of mad, you know. I mean, we talked about this. You know how big a fan I am of Randy Orton, and probably not such a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I was a fan of Bray Wyatt when he was following the Buzzards. I liked the Bayou character. I thought it was very Waylon Mercy, you know, Jake the Snake-esque, you know what I mean? I loved his promos then. It was very original. I mean, look, I know even I've been praising her and him, you know what I mean, for their kind of horror work. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a big horror fan. Like, so even though everyone's giving out about this stuff, I'm like, well, look, if we're gonna praise the Boneyard match, like, let me enjoy some of the 80s cheesy horror stuff that they're doing here, too, you know?
Absolutely. I agree with that.
You know what I mean? So, and I think, I mean, look, Alexa Bliss, I mean, it's straight away, I know she's doing great work, but my partner, again, I always like to listen to someone like my partner or, you know, someone that doesn't watch it much, just to get their input, just to go, because that's what I'm always thinking. What's the casual fan thinking? You know what I mean? And she was like, straight away, she was like, that's just a rip-off of Harley Quinn, like, and Sherry Moon from The Devil's Rejects. And I was like, yeah, I suppose it is, because she's doing the whole thing and all. But the ending most certainly wasn't a rip-off. Whatever that was that she done was lethal.
I loved it.
Awesome.
But
I think even if she is a rip-off, quote unquote, she does it fucking brilliantly. Like, do you know what I mean?
Unreal.
You know, there's definitely an acting gig in it for her. But I thought Randy obviously is probably going to take his 3 or 4 month break now, and probably come back stronger. You could see and look, I'm not one to slag anyone's shape, but you could tell even Randy's shape, couldn't you? He had a little bit.
Yeah.
He was holding it as well. He was holding a little bit of beer in there, probably saying, you know what, I'm going to go home. I'm just going to bang my wife for 6 months. I'm going to hang out with my kids, and I'm going to sit on my porch, and I'm going to do nothing. You know what I mean? So fair play to him. I thought he looked great though, Randy. I like the white gear actually.
Me too. Yeah, I thought it was cool.
I really like that. But I mean, he still, look, who are we to slag his physique? I'm just saying you could, if for Randy Orton, we're saying, that's all we're saying. He was like, I'm 1 foot out the door for these 6 months. But I think, what do you think, actually, Jonathan, on this one? I think it makes perfect sense for Randy to go away for, I don't know how long his break is going to be. I don't even think it's 6 months, is it? Probably about 3 or 4 months.
Probably around 3 or 4, maybe till about June or so, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
So doesn't that make sense for him to come back then and get himself back in the title picture, come back rejuvenated? Because we know that Randy is a main event player. So I think it makes perfect sense. I don't know what to make of the other side of the match in terms of why it gets cost a match by this parody of Alexa Bliss, and she's some sort of I don't know, Gorgon, like a Medusa lady. I don't know what the heck was going on. It was pretty impressive though. I liked it.
Yeah, the visual of it was class.
Yeah.
I think the thing I'm hearing is that it'll turn out that actually wasn't the Fiend, that it's Bo Dallas. And, that there's going to be some twist like that or something, because there was pictures floating around of, like, a close-up of the Fiend, and he didn't have his tattoos on his chest.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know. I think what I liked about it is just kind of
that kind of resonates of the 1990s fake Ultimate Warrior thing, doesn't it? It wasn't really the Warrior because he had a tattoo.
I was thinking more the Undertaker versus Undertaker thing.
True, yeah, that's also a good show. SummerSlam '94,
yeah, that was an interesting one. But
it was good though. It was good.
It was fine. Like what I liked about it is just the fact that it's, like we're saying even now, like it's kind of kept us guessing. So like we kind of have to tune in. There isn't many kind of cliffhangers like that anymore, like where it gives you something to tune into to find out what the hell is going to happen. Like,
I mean, like, look, I'm glad Randy got the W. I was sick of Randy just taking meaningless losses, and I actually thought this time that Randy would lose, so I was actually pleasantly surprised that they sent him. Yeah, so you and me both. As for the rest of the matches on the night, I want to say, I was very pleasantly surprised with the chemistry that Sheamus and Riddle had. I thought that was awesome, actually. I agree.
Yeah.
Hard hitting. I mean, the main event again, I thought it blew me away in terms of any expectation I had as far as it was with a triple threat. I mean, you probably saw the Four Podmen podcast that we did, and we were talking about that there was no need for Daniel Bryan to be added into it. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like, what's this for? What's it mean? Blah, blah, blah. We wanted to see like a battle of Edge and by the way, talking about gear, can we just start off and say Edge's gear when he came out? Holy shit. I was like, when are they making a figure of that? Because a figure of that, right?
That's exactly what I said to my nephew as well.
Really?
Exactly what I said to him. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious that you said
I was
that.
Well, look, you and me both in line, right? If you go to Smith's before me, just buy two and I'll buy two, right? So we're guaranteed to have one.
Definitely.
I thought his gear looked awesome. His fucking intensity his intensity is off the charts. I noticed he's dyed the grey out of the beard. Do you notice that? He's put the blonde back in the beard. I was like, okay, Edge is concerned about his looks again. All right, but I mean, good lord, he looks like he's got the physique of a middleweight boxer on a heavyweight frame, hasn't he?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Unbelievable.
Like, if that makes sense to anybody, like he's just flat chested, flat fucking stomach. Oh my god!
Unbelievable conditioning, like.
Oh my god, he looks great. Then Bryan comes out, and look, I love Daniel Bryan. It was just weird. I was like, I don't see Daniel Bryan in this picture. At this moment is what I'm saying. When I think Reigns comes out, you alluded to, earlier on about Drew, and look, me and Drew had a great relationship back in the day. I love that man. Inside and outside of the ring, just an absolute gent of a guy, real gem. But you mentioned about like being, superstar level Roman Reigns when he walked out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like he is off the charts. He's rock level at this point.
Yeah.
Just without even having to say anything. I mean, the son of a bitch was just blessed with the fucking everything, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it's kind of so happy to see like the battle that he's overcome, obviously with with the leukemia and stuff. It's just such a great thing to see. But my God, that man is just carved from stone. Like, you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
People are going to be like, does Ian have a man crush on Roman Reigns? Yes, and so do you. Whoever you are out there, so do you, and you know it. All right.
I'd kill for the man's hair and his physique.
And everything else.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like, there's nothing that you wouldn't take. No. I don't know. He must have a small, whatever.
God.
You can't be that. You can't have everything, can you? No, but all joking aside, he comes out, and I have to say, like, even though the presence of the two behind him as well. You know what I mean? And he has the little, the necklace on him and all. He just looks like he is a star. He's just an absolute star. And I think the match, I don't know how you feel about this. I was pleasantly surprised with how well it went for a triple threat, because they are the most difficult. I had said before on the Four Podmen that the only great triple threat match, especially at such a high level, on a Mania, was obviously Benoit, H, and Michaels.
Yeah,
I mean that was off the charts.
Unbelievable.
But this wasn't far behind it, I have to
say.
No, it really wasn't. It really
wasn't. Yeah, I completely agree.
My God, it was. And was it hard hitting or not? And you know what? Everything made sense once Brian was in it, and it's like Brian knew that people thought he shouldn't be in this, and he worked extra hard. I thought that the exchanges between him and Edge, man, like Edge was given fucking some solid smacks back, like and safe solid, but stiff. It was stiff, and to see Edge go toe to toe with Brian, like in hard style, it was like, all right, Edge is back, and he's here for the long haul. I'm not gonna lie and just pretend that I know everything. I kind of knew that they were going to keep it on Reigns. Personally, I just felt that he's in too strong a position to take it off him at the moment. I think you could probably see Edge take it maybe at the Backlash, I'd imagine. I think he'll get his moment for sure. But I mean, I think Roman is too strong at the moment as an entity, as a commodity, as everything in between. He's just too great. I don't know where Brian goes from there. I can't see a retirement from Brian if he's having matches like that though.
No, me neither. I think he's probably going to slow down kind of within the next year or so. I think I'm not sure if he's on about like retiring completely next year, or is he just going to be kind of part-time-ish or something like that maybe. But with the more limited schedule they have now anyway, will benefit him anyway. But
sure, yeah.
I was actually really happy when he was added to the match, because even though like, if you'd said Edge Roman to me last year, I'd have been like, oh yeah, I really want that. But for whatever reason, since it was made, I just wasn't feeling it. It just, I don't know, it just didn't have that impact for me. So I've just been like, I've always been a fan of Daniel Bryan, and always know, how good he was and everything.
Yeah.
But I just think in the last couple of months, he's just been amazing. Like that match with Reigns at Fastlane was freaking unbelievable, and like
that is true.
And like Reigns is as good as he is, but like Bryan, even if you go back to the match Bryan had with Brock at Survivor Series a few years ago, if you watch that back, as good as Brock is, Daniel Bryan is adding every bit as much to that match. Like, everything he does kind of makes sense, and I just think he's absolutely fantastic. But so I was happy to see him added, and yeah, I just agree with everything you said. Like, I thought the match delivered tenfold. I agree with your point on it being the best triple threat since Triple H, since WrestleMania 20, Triple H, Shawn, and Benoit. I think it was probably the best main event since Brock and Reigns from 31. I absolutely loved that match. So
I even think it was better, just slightly, and that's a good shout though. Well, I mean, you could flip a coin on it for me, to be honest. You could. Sure. You know what I mean? I could. So I'm not going to actually argue that one with you. That's a good point. I mean, I suppose we could talk about some of the, the fantasy booking now that comes off the back of that in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Because, I hate to say I told you so. But like, Finlay Martin, as you saw, was on my show, and he didn't think Balor was going to lose that title match, and thought Balor's staying down there as the NXT champion, and that's where he's going to stay, and it's going to be Cross coming up. And I got a text from the great Finlay Martin, who I've been reading since I was 13 years old. It texts me and goes, I think Vince might have been listening to you. I think Balor could be on the way up on Monday. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, from what I'm hearing, it's a real possibility. I mean, that's some of the fantasy booking, because we talked about that on our show. You know what I mean? On when you were on Dynamo's Dozen, and like what's for Balor. There's so many things that you can do now. And I mean, I think if he's on that side, I think the blue side is perfect for Balor. You throw him into a feud with the likes of Daniel Bryan, Balor saying, everything's been handed to you. I had the belt and it got taken away from me, but everything's been handed to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get fucking AJ Styles away from the basketball player and have him in feuds with Balor, or even have them together. You know what I mean? Like, make the club there, bring Balor up as a heel. Perfect. It's just so many possibilities here now on this one, and I'm excited for. I know when we're recording this, it's the Raw after WrestleMania night, so I think we're both pretty excited about that actually, because sometimes WrestleMania weekend doesn't end on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Raw is usually hot, and there's a lot of potential returns,
Yes.
So it's going to be an interesting night, So
definitely,
I'm looking forward to that now
so.
later on.
Yeah, me too.
One last match I want to touch on, not like the match itself was all right, for what it was and everything, but like one of the big pop moments for me, because I'm just such a big fan of him, and I'm not 100% sure what to make of the new accent, but the new gimmick, I just love it. I love the look, the presence. I just think Apollo is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I popped like I was 10 freaking years old, because I thought, it's in Florida, Big E's going over, especially the way all the heels were winning. It was a heel WrestleMania. So I thought,
definitely. Yeah.
This is going to be just, for Big E to get over more, so like when Apollo won, I popped like a 10-year-old, man. It was as real as it was back then. I was.
Well, he needed that, didn't he?
100%. Yeah.
It's rare, I think, that like you get, because me and you could talk about it all day long about what's needed, and then they always go against that, and then it's Vince always just fucking doing something just to, say he knows best. But anything that I thought of that should happen, for the long term of the particular superstar, the particular worker, happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Apollo needed that for that character to gain more credibility and kind of push it a bit more. We made a joke on the Four Podmen that if he wasn't being brought down to the ring by the African Dream Hakeem, we weren't going to buy into it. Because it was
nicely thought of.
It just came to my head. I was like, if he's not coming down with the African Dream Hakeem, I said that gimmick isn't relevant for me. No, it's not real. But no, I was just teasing. Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like everything, as I said, everything that needed to happen happened. Do you know what I mean? For the better of A, the development of particular storylines, or B, the actual longevity of the character going forward. And I think booking, Vinnie Mac knocked it out of the park, and obviously everyone else involved. But yeah, I think it was strongest Mania probably in the last few years for sure. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, for me,
and I mean all across the board,
Yeah, the two nights combined. Yeah, for sure.
Cesaro winning, of course. Getting
that match. Holy shit! Like the sequences in that were just
great.
Flawless. Holy crap! There was some serious stuff in that. Like holy crap! And like I heard a few people complaining like that they weren't given enough time or something. I think they got about 20 minutes or so, and I think it was just. I thought it was just perfect. Any more, might have been slightly over. I don't know. I just thought that match was perfect for what it was. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Delighted Cesaro got his moment, and Seth. I mean, it doesn't hurt Seth. Seth's phenomenal. So.
No, and I think just in closing on that, before you move on, I just wanted to concur with you on that. I think everything from match time, and nothing felt like it went over, nothing felt like it was too quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It all felt just right. And it's very hard to say that about pay-per-views in general, let alone Mania. So, 10 out of 10 to everybody involved, from the workers, the staff, the bookers, everything. I thought it was great. And to see fans back in, even with, rain and stuff, I thought it was just great.
Absolutely, yeah, it added tenfold, and like it was bittersweet for me at the start, like seeing that stadium, like because I was supposed to freaking be there last year, but for my first Mania, so
Me too.
yeah. So, what had you been to Mania before?
No. But we were planning to go last year because I was actually talking to. Actually, I think it's on one of the podcasts that I did with the only one that we done with Ricky Morton. Believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I was talking to Ricky Morton and I was like, man, and he was like saying, if you come over to Tampa, let's hang out and we'll fucking do another podcast. We'll have some beers and stuff. And I was like, so I'd actually planned properly on doing like about 3 weeks going to Orlando, doing Tampa, like we were planning to take, myself and herself were planning to take the holidays around that time so that we could get everything in. But, obviously pandemic hits and, so you and me both got hurt on that one, brother.
Oh.
But, we're going to go again as a team and we're just going to interview everybody.
Yes. Fingers crossed next year. I can't actually cross my fingers because they're too mangled. But
that's all right.
But oh God, let's hope, man. Because like last night, especially, like it was just phenomenal. 10 out of 10 for me anyway. I think for me, probably like off the top of my head, I think it's probably the best WrestleMania since maybe 19 or maybe 31. I really like WrestleMania 31. I thought that was a really good
from a consistency basis throughout the whole show. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I did like 20 as well. I really like 20 in Madison Square Garden. I am a big fan of the arena WrestleManias as well, but it depends on the arena. And MSG is just one of them that's, to me anyway, it'll always be the Mecca, you know what I mean? But no, I agree with you. For me, I would say, probably I can't think of any other that stands out probably since 19, really, and I mean like from start to finish,
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but just in closing, so we'll cover. We'll just narrow it down to the one. We'll get to the one favorite WrestleMania moment of all time, and maybe
I'll let you go first then, because you've thought about this. I'll let you go first then.
I think for me, if like I have a favorite match and I have a favorite moment. So in terms of like the actual WrestleMania moment, it's the ending of the Hell in a Cell with Triple H and Undertaker at WrestleMania 28 with Shawn Michaels. Like the actual match itself is probably my second or third favorite WrestleMania match, and the whole story of the 4 years coming together, and then the real life aspect of it coming in, like where they carry Triple H up the ramp and all three of them in arm in arm. I mean, they're three. I mean, if you had to, put it like a top 5 or whatever of some of my kind of most respected guys, like they'd be three of the ones on it, like Undertaker being number one, like you throw Bret Hart and some others in there then as well. But seeing them,
all that.
Seeing them embrace at the top of the ramp after that war of the match, after the 4 years, the history that they'd all kind of been involved in through their, up to that point, like nearly 30-year runs. Phew. I'll never forget that. I'll just never forget the emotion of seeing that. Like, he was just absolutely phenomenal. And then the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match from 25 then is my favorite match. But we'll cover that. We'll cover that another night because I'll be talking for another.
We will do that. We'll do that sometime where maybe we'll do our top 5. We'll do our top 5 Mania matches or something. Maybe we'll do that on a dozen the next time.
Yeah, sure thing, man.
We'll just do a tray. Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more of us, ladies and gentlemen, together. So, for me, it's kind of, I like the way you done that because I thought I'd cheat as well because it is both from the same WrestleMania, but I'm going to take everyone back to a stadium that I just mentioned there, MSG. I'm going to take people back to 1994. WrestleMania 10. Right. By any means, not one of the strongest WrestleManias in terms of card all the way throughout. But we opened the show with the late, great Owen Hart and Bret the Hitman Hart in what in my opinion is probably one of the greatest wrestling matches ever told in WrestleMania. Arguably the greatest, but it's up there. It's up there for argument anyway.
Definitely.
the little brother trying to step out of the shadow of big brother, and I mean, you want to talk about a technical match and a clinic and a story being told. My God, for anybody that has seen it and just doesn't really remember much of it, go back and watch it just to refresh your memory. And remember, Dave Meltzer gave this a 4 out of 10, while he gave 6 out of 10s to, hour-long car crashes. You know what I mean? And no disrespect to those hour-long car crashes with the guys involved, like Omega and Okada. They're great for what they are. But I mean, if you want to actually talk about a wrestling match, good Lord, I think you'll be hard pressed to find a better pound for pound, hold for hold wrestling match than Owen Hart versus Bret Hart, and obviously Owen getting the victory.
Yeah, that was
with the victory roll, victory roll as well. I mean, it wasn't even the victory roll. It was like Bret went down for it, and then Owen just laid down on it. It was just genius. It was the same as it was like the Bulldog one. It was similar to the 1992 match. If memory serves me correctly. And then you think, oh, good Lord, because I'm a fan. I'm 10 years old at this time, and Bret's my guy, I'm like, this little bastard brother of his. I'm going to go home and beat my brother up now and take it out on him.
Yeah.
And because my brother, I had dark hair, my brother had blonde hair as well. I was like, you're Owen. You're a little bastard.
Love it.
It's true. And but then obviously Bret getting the moment with Piper as the referee and beating Yoko and getting the belt back after the Hogan politics the year before, which everyone knows was a crock of absolute shit.
Absolutely.
And Bret finally getting, this time realizing that this is my belt. You know what I mean? I am the guy. Whatever about before, this is mine. Like, and Savage coming down and standing on the ropes, pointing them, giving them the seal of approval, and Luger and Hall and all the guys coming down.
Yeah.
And on that same card, don't forget, you had just a sneaky plug. Obviously, you also had Razor and Michaels ladder match. Same, so it's a pretty good Mania.
Definitely. I think it's underrated.
Yeah, it's personally my favorite Mania moment because I mean I think that was Bret at its peak and pretty much the start of the Hitman era. Really, do you know what I mean? Where he was
absolutely.
So for me, that's my.
One thing I'll just add to that as well is like that match, the kind of behind the scenes story of that match really illustrates the absolute genius of Bret Hart. Because, like, I think, was it in his book? You probably know the story of they had a different match originally planned out, and Owen was going to do all like this high flying stuff and everything, and like a lot of the stuff he was doing before, like all those really
like in Stampede and Japan and stuff.
Yeah. And Bret was saying like, no, this isn't gonna work because you're a heel. We're supposed to be getting you over as the little shithead baby brother, like, and so you need to be mean, like you need to be, and they did all that in the match, little nuances of him pulling Bret's hair and all of that stuff, like, so I just thought like that really illustrates the genius, of his psychology. Like, Vince has said he's the greatest storyteller of all time since Buddy Rogers, like, so I mean, what more needs to be said on that side of things? So I just wanted to add that.
No, it's a great point that you make. Like, and a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Owen was the better of the Harts." I mean, people say that because I suppose he did a little bit more flashy stuff. But I think when you look at pro wrestling, it's not all about the bells and whistles. Really, it's about the actual. It's about the mechanics. I mean, you got to have a foundation to build a house. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Bret was always the foundation in these matches. No pun intended, the Hart Foundation, but nobody was, you know what I mean? And I think little things like you said, you can imagine him when he had a headlock. You would never see Bret's lips moving when he was talking in the ring. Mm-hmm. You'd always see the headlock in, and you'd see the head go in there, and he'd always have a face looking like he's kind of grinding the headlock. But deep down, he's saying, "Right, pull the hair," and he was ready to just take the bump. I agree. Great points. But yeah, that's my Mania moment. The one that I can think of, and I know it's a throwback as well. Gotta give some throwback for the old school wrestling fans, because the recent Mania memories, they're so easy to remember them because they're so flashy and stuff like that. But I think that night is special because obviously Owen's no longer with us as well, and everything that's happened with the Hart family, since, and Bret, obviously his health. So I thought that would be a cool little throwback for people to go back and maybe even watch if they haven't seen the match. If they haven't seen the match, do go back and watch Owen and Bret. I think it's very underrated match. Not even an underrated match, just kind of almost lost, isn't it?
A little bit. I mean, it's one of those ones where, it gets a lot of credit, but I don't think it still gets the credit that it really should, because it's just a phenomenal piece of work all the way. It's just storytelling 101, as most of Bret's stuff is. I mean, what can you say? I mean, in terms of creating drama, there's very few. I don't know if there's anybody really better. There might be guys that could do more in this, that way or the other. Like you were saying, people say about Owen. He was that bit flashier and could do
Shawn Michaels is a perfect.
Yeah, example. Shawn Michaels. Yeah, all that kind of thing. But I think in terms of telling a story, putting a piece of art together out there, like Bret, on his best nights, he was just absolutely unmatched. So. Yeah. That's definitely a great pick. But so freaking man, it's been awesome chatting with you. Great chatting about WrestleMania. A good way to cap off the WrestleMania weekend. And let's hope now things go well for us tonight now on the Irish side of things. Hopefully we get our man tonight, either tonight or Friday night anyway. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, and 100%. I just want to thank you for having me on again. Thanks to your fans for listening to me. I think you're doing a great job. I think it's great that we're all we've got, yourself, myself and Morris, even though we're all in different podcasts as such. I think it's great that we're all helping each other out and doing little things together. And I think it's great to network that way. And I think we talk anyway. We have our own little group and stuff, and we, there's some ideas in the pot there. And I would say to fans of your show, fans of my show, there's lots of ideas that can happen going forward. And I think we should even look at maybe doing some watch-alongs and stuff like that down the line, with looking at old pay-per-views and stuff. And there's so much potential with this thing. So. Yeah, the world is our oyster. And Jonathan, once again, I just want to say thanks for having me on. And like I said, love your show. Great guest. Keep up the good work, my brother.
Likewise, my man. Keep up the good work. And you're doing lots of it. Everybody check out the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. And everywhere else you get your podcast. I thought of it.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
you can have that one for free. I've heard it so many times.
Yeah, definitely. But thanks so much again for coming on anyway, man. It's been brilliant.
My pleasure, my man.
Thank you for tuning into Pro Wrestling Defined on YouTube. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep up with all future content. And please follow Pro Wrestling Defined on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook.